focused on high net worth families who want luxury homes. So that is how the profile of the buyer has changed. A couple years ago, we had kind of a broader menu of potential markets with lower price points that attracted a broader audience. Today, we're very much focused just on luxury homes that are in the $3 to $15+ million range, with the average price point probably being in the $5 million home price, which translates into a $600,000 or $700,000 share price. So these are families that are well off financially, which means they're less impacted by the interest rate environment. I would say that long term, I think that higher interest rates would actually present more of a tailwind for our business than a headwind. And the reason why I say that is because the alternative to owning a Pacaso is owning a whole home. And when interest rates are high, the burden of ownership on a whole home is 8 times greater than the burden of ownership on an eighth of a home. So I actually don't think interest rates are, that meaningful for us over the long term, because we're a lower price kind of alternative. That being said, interest rates do impact the way that people feel, psychologically and emotionally. And I would say there's definitely uncertainty, in the markets right now, not just driven by interest rates, but by all the stuff going on, in the world, and with the new administration and tariffs and, all the other stuff. So the uncertainty is really the thing that we have to think about. It's like, in a world where people are not clear on how the future is going to play out, how do we keep them focused on what really matters, which is maximizing the quality of the time that they have, here on this earth, right? Life is short. At the end of the day, when you're sitting on your deathbed, there's been lots of studies about this. People aren't going to be regretting, I wish I would have invested more in this, bond portfolio, or I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have saved a percentage of interest here or there. What people are going to be thinking about is, I wish I would have spent more quality time with my family and with the people that I love. And that is what a second home is for. That's what we do. Just like Starbucks isn't, really in the business of selling coffee. They're in the business of creating experiences and community and connection. We're not really in the business of selling real estate. We're in the business of enriching people's lives. Selling real estate is just the way that we do that. So I think it's really important that we stay focused on what it is that we're here to do, which is enriching people's lives. And when we're talking to a prospective customer that gets that understands that life is short and this period of uncertainty in the macro environment will pass. And when it passes, all that's going to matter is the same thing that always mattered, which is, am I maximizing the quality of my life and maximizing the time that I have, with people that I love? And that's what we're focused on.
Thank you. Our next question is, you mentioned progress on operating efficiencies earlier in the call. Can you walk us through how your cost structure has changed year over year, and what levers you still see for further margin improvement in 2025?
Yeah, I can take this one. Thank you for the question. I mean, this is an area that actually gets me super excited, because I just think there's so much opportunity and we've barely scratched the surface. As you mentioned, we've made significant progress just in cost management and kind of operational efficiency. And I just want to be careful here, because when we say operational efficiency, that doesn't necessarily mean cutting cost, right? Like what we mean really is we see that it is about being disciplined around aligning your cost base with growth and leverage technology to do more with less, really, right? When you think about all the things that you can do with AI and all the different tools that can make folks more efficient to do more with less. And I'd say that's kind of the theme there. And what we've started to see is just some of that in our 2024 results, as we pointed out with some of the, kind of margin expansion, especially around adjusted EBITDA. But there's just really so much more we can do. And whether that's driving efficiency across home operations through better centralized support and improved systems using AI, or increasing our sales productivity and getting better marketing lead conversion using AI tools. There's just a lot of white space out there, and I think what we as a team are focused on is trying to drive a lot of that operational efficiency. So as transaction volume increases, right, we don't see a proportional increase in cost.
Thank you. We have a few questions on this topic. What will the funds be used for specifically for the Reg A raise? And as a follow-up, what is the company's exit plan? Is there an expected IPO in the future?
I'll take this one. I covered it on 2 or 3 slides ago on the growth blueprint. It's basically market expansion, number 1. Number 2 is product innovation. And number 3 is just continuing to invest in our customers to enrich their lives. Those are the 3 areas where we will be investing. In terms of the exit, our plan, our preferred path is to take the company public. Reg A actually provides a nice transition step, if you will, in the sense that there's a lot of things that we have to do with this public offering to comply with the SEC requirements, the disclosures, the reporting calls, such as this. So we're largely building the muscles to prepare ourselves to be public, and that's the path that we're focused on. Doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. Doesn't mean that the company couldn't be sold. It could. There's no way to predict with certainty what the future is, but our plan and desire is to take the company public.
Thank you. We also have a few questions about international expansion. Given Pacaso's focus on international expansion, can you provide more detail on your early traction in new markets like Mexico and Europe? What key metrics are you using to track product market fit outside the US?
I'm super excited to talk about this one because it's really incredible, the opportunity that we have internationally. I mean, if you think about how valuable our product is domestically, it's like we're taking the alternative to Pacaso, again, is buying a whole home. So if you live in San Francisco and you want to buy a house in Lake Tahoe, you're going to spend whole house money. You're going to deal with 100% of the headaches. You're going to feel guilty about not being able to use the home 90% of the time. Versus with a Pacaso, you spend 1/7 of the cost. You have 1/100th of the hassle. Basically, no hassle. There's no guilt. It's just like a way better experience. But now let's take that experience and talk about a house that's 5,000-6,000 miles away in another country, and the value proposition is like multiples, because it's so hard to buy a house abroad. Like if you live in San Francisco and you want to buy a house in Paris, I mean, can you imagine how complicated that would be? We're talking about probably a 6-month process. You'd have to make several 15-hour flights across the pond. You'd have to have real estate experts, tax experts, legal experts. I mean, it would be a real pain in the neck. With Pacaso, doesn't matter where you live, you could buy a house in Paris today. Call our sales team today. You could buy a house in Paris today, assuming we have a share available. So we've made something that previously felt out of reach possible for a lot of people when it comes to international purchasing. And that's why, all the momentum that we have in our international markets is just huge. We're also starting to see the same thing happen, by the way, and we think there's a lot of opportunity here with international buyers that want to own U.S. real estate. There's a lot of people in Brazil, for example, that want to own in Miami, or a lot of people in Mexico who want to own in Colorado, or a variety of other Aspen. So lots of opportunity there internationally. In terms of the metrics, I mean, it's all the same metrics that we look at in our core business, across all markets, but it's basically a function of, how much demand we have for a home and how quickly we sell it through. And what we're seeing and continue to see is that the international homes sell quickly, and we think there's an opportunity to do a lot more of them, not just in the markets that we're in, but in lots of other markets throughout Europe and the Caribbean and Latin America more broadly.
And just if I could add one point to what you just said, Austin, the breakdown that we've had historically of how much gross profit has come from the U.S. versus Mexico and Europe, we've seen a big increase just in 2024. And so when you think about early, 2023, 90+% is our U.S. business. In 2024, that shifted to 70-ish% was U.S., 20% roughly Mexico, and another 10% in Europe. We think that's even going to increase even more on the Mexico-Europe front, or just think of it ex-U.S. going into 2025. So it is a really, exciting opportunity.
Thank you. Looks like we have a few real estate agents in the audience right now. One of the questions is, what is the process if we have someone that might be interested in buying a Pacaso home? Is there a portal? Do we call? How do we refer clients to Pacaso and receive commissions as an agent?
Yeah, I'll take this question. So the way to get a hold of us is, all available on our website. There's also an agent dedicated page where you can contact us there and actually become one of our preferred or certified agent partners. We do a lot of business with real estate agents. Real estate agents tend to love Pacaso because Pacaso is kind of like a tool in the toolkit that enables real estate agents to convert people who would have otherwise been window shoppers into homeowners. So we'd love to work with you. If you have clients who you think would be interested in Pacaso, we'd love to work with you. We try to make the process as easy as possible. Our mantra internally is we want, your transaction to be as easy as a referral. Like if you refer a client to another real estate agent for a traditional sale, as real estate agents, the agent getting the referral does all the work and you just get a share of the commission. In our case, we'll do all the work, but we'll give you the full commission. So regardless of the market and what the standard co-op agent commission is in that market, we pay 3% on all transactions if you bring a buyer, and we try to do all the work so that the experience is as seamless as possible for you as the referring agent.
Great, thank you. We also have several questions about the current macro environment. One of them is, how does Pacaso leadership expect the possible inflationary period or tariffs to impact customer spending on a second home? Does this impact your short or long-term targets?
Why don't I take the first pass at this, Al, and feel free to chime in if you add anything or if you have anything. The world is full of uncertainty. Like market cycle, uncertainty comes, it goes. There's a reasonable chance that we're going to be in a period of uncertainty for a while, right? Because of everything that's happening right now. And if you live your life waiting for things to be certain, you're not going to live a very great life. You're going to spend most of your life, waiting for the perfect moment, and you're going to blink and your kids are going to be, old, or your grandkids are going to be old, and you will have missed years, if not decades of your life, where you had an opportunity to maximize that time. So like, independent of macro conditions, like we're in the business of helping people live great lives. And whether we're in a period of certainty or uncertainty shouldn't stop someone from optimizing the quality of their life if they're in a position to do so, right? Like if you're living to paycheck and you don't have discretionary income or savings, you probably shouldn't buy a Pacaso, right? And you wouldn't be able to buy a Pacaso. But if you're fortunate enough to be in a position where you have a nice income, you have a lot of savings, you have investments, like the one amazing thing that money allows people to do is optimize the way that they spend their time. And once you have wealth, the time and the way that you spend your time is the most valuable resource. So I think that is our challenge right now.